Am I the a-hole for ruining a funeral and potentially costing a lot of family members their jobs? Original post. My grandparents passed away recently. I followed the guidelines my grandma set up for her final event. Her church, her burial plot, her casket, and the same for my grandpa. I just didn't expect for it to be a joint funeral. I sent out the notifications to friends of theirs and family after the date was set in stone. Their friends all came, so did most of my grandma's church, but no family showed up. I wasn't surprised. I hadn't seen most of them in about 4 years. I had a great time with my grandparents' friends, and then I went back home and cried my heart out. I had been their sole caregiver, and I didn't know what to do without them. I had taken care of them for 15 years. It started with little things like lifting heavy things and escalated to needing to change the bed twice a night sometimes. I was empty and started to scroll through my grandpa's Facebook to see pictures he posted before his memory went. I found a group, started about 3 years ago, that was being flooded with activity. When I went poking around, I found out it was my mother, who was hosting a funeral at her church and was trying to get final expenses taken care of. I was stunned. Here was the woman I hadn't spoken to since throwing her out of the house for stealing jewelry and upsetting Grandma terribly by using her Alzheimer's against her. How could you forget my birthday? You promised to give me this. I went to the funeral my mother had planned and listened to the pastor, and then my mother got up to talk. She told everyone how hard it was taking care of them, and something inside me roared to life. I don't remember everything I said, but it did include that she didn't pay for anything for them. Not their caskets, not their burial plots, not their cremation. Nothing. I told everyone I put them to rest at the funeral Grandma planned herself 4 days prior. I said she never paid for any of their care or even seen them for 4 years. I was asked to leave and drove home. Later, a cousin asked me if what I said was true, and when I said it was, and I could provide proof, they explained my mother had been taking funds from the family for years to pay for their care at a facility because they had outlived their insurance policy. They also explained I got a lot of people in trouble because somewhere in my speech I had shouted I had done it all alone for years without any help. A lot of family members used my grandparents as an excuse to get out of work and had invited their co-workers to the funeral. By hearing my outburst, they were now in trouble for lying as for the reasons to leave work or miss days. She then went on to ask me about the inheritance and when would that be passed out. I told her that if anyone had earned the inheritance, it had already been taken care of. I thought I was in the right, but now I'm doubting myself after so many cousins and family members are calling me to tell me I handled it really poorly. Am I the a-hole? Did I handle this badly? Everyone's telling me I did. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Not a-hole. I'm honestly not entirely sure how you could have handled that better without being ignored. Your family members created these situations for themselves and now must deal with the consequences. I mean, most of it, not all of them came to their actual funerals. You handled everything, both for their care over the last 15 years and in their passing. And that's probably been very hard for you, especially if you don't have any support yourself. I hope you do. Be kinder to yourself. You're grieving and will need some time to heal. None of the family members came to the funeral. Some of them I've excused in my head because of my mom's actions. She sent out messages to everyone that the location had changed due to issues with the size of the location. Grandma had picked out the location for her funeral, the same place she used to teach sewing lessons and run childcare teaching events. She loved that location. It was attached to her church. She didn't care what your question was. She'd answer it and help you solve it. Didn't know how to fix the seam of your jeans? She could help. Didn't know how to stop your baby from crying all night? She'd know. She ran a lot of services for her community that still stand strong today, one of which is the Early Days program at her church. Members sign up to visit new parents, do laundry, vacuum, dust, do dishes, cook a meal, watch the baby if the parents need to sleep. I'm so proud of her for the impact on our community she left. Your grandma was an incredible person. Condolences on your loss of both grandparents. Not a-hole. You told the truth. The truth exposed your mother's hypocrisy and how she was scamming the family for money. It also exposed the scams of those who were pretending to care. The term for this is poetic justice, and it was overdue. I'm still trying to figure out why they would lie about coming to help and not even bother to pick up the phone to call and check in with them. It makes no sense why they would use that as an excuse to me. What did they have to gain? A free day? They have dozens of other people they could have used, but they fixated on using my grandparents. Because using them made them look good. Oh, I need a day to take my elderly grandparents who have Alzheimer's to the doctors. Makes them look selfless and caring, and most employers would be more willing to overlook those days. Don't for a minute feel bad for those who got in trouble. They all dug their own holes. If they lost their jobs, that's on them for lying, not you for exposing their lies. Stop worrying about the people who didn't care and remember your grandparents and the good they did and the time you had with them. I'm sure they appreciated all that you did for them. Now for the update. Thank you all. I felt I was the a-hole because of how badly I reacted at the memorial service my mother held. It was very far out of character for me. I am usually very quiet and I don't talk too much often, much like my grandpa. I screamed at them. I cried, I waved my arms and made an absolute spectacle of my grief. I feel so embarrassed by how I argued and carried on. Several family members are asking questions and seem genuinely bewildered by the circumstances. This happened on Sunday and it's Friday now. I am still feeling as lost as I did at first. One of my uncles did lose his job. That was confirmed earlier. He had multiple schemes going on at his workplace, with a need for a medical lift bed for grandma, and got his coworkers to donate around $8,000 in total. The gossip queens that attended the funeral told everyone Monday morning, and by Monday afternoon he was in trouble with HR. This wasn't the only way he tried to earn funds. There are at least 2 others I know about from his son. His son, my cousin, is furious with his dad and my mom. He and several other cousins of mine are suing my mother for taking funds from them. They thought they were helping pay for 24-hour care at an assisted living facility. Every month, my mother was collecting between $2,000 and $9,000 from family members. She would lament to them how hard and soul-crushing it was to see such strong people just staring vacantly off into space, how they were unresponsive. But this wasn't true. My cousins apologized for not reaching out to me, but I'm not very close with anyone in my family. Some of you guessed it in the DMs, but yeah, I was an affair baby. I came out wrong, and my mother's husband divorced her over it. The people I was closest to growing up were my grandparents. It's bad enough that some of the cousins forgot I was a family member at all. It's a huge mess. They're apologizing, but I just don't want anything to do with them. Grandpa's business is not worth millions, but it pays the bills. It's a handyman company. My family is asking about the company, how everything is going there, and I'm putting up a stony face. It's not the family business. It's mine. Has been for years. All of the employees respect me because I treat them the same way my grandpa did. I do still mess up some things that they tease me for. It's a very friendly place to work. One of my grandpa's properties is just a fenced yard with covered storage for the different projects. It's right next to the business property, and it's just where we work on remodeling old RVs or turning vans into RVs. We have a few friends parked there too, but it's just a dirt lot with gravel, a fence, and a cover. There are some security cameras there and so far no issues. I thought I would give an overall update and just thank you all for the support. I felt so lost, and I really did think I was the a-hole for exposing them. Jobs are important and hard to come by out here, and it's not just going to affect them. It's going to affect their partners, their children, and even their pets. I feel most guilty about who else exposing them affected. Thank you. I didn't really expect this to blow up like it did. I'm going to keep reading and responding to comments. Thank you all again. This has been so incredible. I was never supposed to be angry about anything, but seeing all the comments cussing out my family has been more cathartic than I can express. Thank you. I don't think nosy and gossip queens are fair judgments when what they did is alert coworkers that they were all scammed out of a collective $8,000. More than $8,000, since OP said that wasn't the only fundraising the uncle did at work. God knows how much she got away with in the end. I think someone will go to jail for that amount of fraud. I would love an update for the legal fallout. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling extended family that my brother was an abusive piece of crap and taking his ex-wife's side in the divorce? My brother was married to Katrina for 8 years. He has a 10-year-old daughter from a one-night stand. Bio mom is not in the picture. Katrina's the only mom my niece, Elise, has ever known. She became a stay-at-home mom when Elise was 2, and they've been inseparable since. She wanted to adopt Elise, and Elise's bio mom wanted the adoption to happen, but her dad refused. When Elise was around 4, my brother started using her to control Katrina. If they'd argue or she wouldn't do what he wanted, he'd either hurt Elise or leave with her for weeks or months at a time, telling her she was never going to see Katrina again. Katrina wasn't able to do anything about it because she didn't have any rights to Elise. Katrina finally filed for divorce last year and my brother took Elise again. After a few months, CPS got involved and Elise was removed from his custody. Elise is temporarily staying with me while Katrina fights for custody. She refuses to talk about what happens when her dad takes her, but she's terrified of men, including my husband, wakes up screaming, and she even had to spend some time in an inpatient facility. She's doing intensive outpatient treatment now and is slowly improving. Katrina and I have been in contact and I've been letting her visit Elise. These visits are usually 4-ish hours at a time, maybe 4 days a week. She makes food for Elise, they lay on a couch and watch her favorite movies. She gets Elise to do some schoolwork. She kind of goes back to being Elise's mom during these visits. Extended family has been asking why Elise is staying with me and not her dad. My brother said it's because he travels a lot for work, but I wasn't going to lie to protect him. So I told the truth, that he is an abusive piece of shit that hurt his daughter to control his wife. Then word spread that Katrina gets to visit as much as she and Elise can handle, while he isn't allowed to see his kid. Now, immediate family, parents, grandparents, brother, are mad at me for airing his dirty laundry, spreading rumors, and taking his sexist side in all of this. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not at all. You're definitely not the a-hole. You did the right thing by protecting Elise and standing up for Katrina. Your brother's actions were abusive, and someone had to speak up. It's great that you're providing a safe space for Elise and allowing her to reconnect with Katrina. Family might be mad, but Elise's safety and well-being come first. Not the a-hole at all, not even a tiny little bit. The best interest of the child always comes first. People should know so the good ones can protect her, and it will also become clear who can't be trusted. It's telling that many family members care more about family reputation than protecting a child. Those people are absolute trash in my opinion. I'm sorry to say OP because I know they're your family. You're a hero for taking care of and standing up for the child. So is her bonus mom. I call her that because she earned the title. That woman is incredible. Someone who uses her goodness against her like that doesn't deserve anything good in life at all. I like how they said sided with X and not sided with her abused grandchild. Are mad at me for airing his dirty laundry, spreading rumors. If brother didn't want his dirty laundry aired, he shouldn't have created it. CPS removed his child from his custody. He should be ashamed of what he's done. I hope there are legal consequences for him. It's not a rumor when it's true. You're never the a-hole for refusing to lie on someone else's behalf. You're never the a-hole for refusing to protect a piece of garbage. I'm so glad Elise has you in her life. There is a special place in heaven for people who save abused children. And a special place in hell for her brother. Last story. Am I the a-hole for blocking my parents after they pressured me to give up custody of my niece? I, 25 male, have been raising my niece since she was a year old. Her parents, my sister and her boyfriend, went to jail for drug abuse, and I stepped in to take care of her. Over the years, I've grown incredibly close to her. I even adopted her 3 years ago, and she sees me as her dad. Recently, my sister was released from prison and expressed a desire to regain custody of my niece. My parents are supporting her, arguing that my niece belongs with her biological mother. They acknowledge the mistakes my sister made, but believes she deserves a second chance to be a mother. However, I have serious concerns about my sister's ability to provide a stable environment for my niece. She has only been out of prison for a short time, and while she claims to be clean and ready to be a parent again, I'm worried about the potential for relapse and the impact on my niece. My parents have been relentless in their pressure, constantly calling, texting, and showing up at my place to argue this point. They accuse me of being selfish and holding on to my niece out of spite. The stress and conflict became unbearable, and I felt like they were not considering my niece's best interests, just my sister's wishes. In response, I decided to block my parents' numbers and social media accounts to create some space and peace for myself and my niece. Since then, they've been reaching out through mutual friends, accusing me of cutting them off and keeping my niece from her family. They're making me feel guilty for wanting to maintain a stable, loving environment my niece has known for the past 6 years. Am I the a-hole for blocking my parents and refusing to give up custody of my niece? Not the a-hole. If you access daycare/childcare, meet with the top leader and submit in writing that your daughter is not to be picked up by anyone but you. Her grandparents or her mother may attempt to do so. After it is submitted, a chat one-on-one with staff to ensure they have been updated. I admire your tenacity to do the right thing for your niece/daughter. You're writing suggestion you have legal custody, and I hope this status is true. Be sure to not hesitate calling the police, securing a protection order or other strategies should this situation escalate. You read your sister's situation correctly. She's likely on probation or parole. She may be clean, but she now will need to rebuild her life. Secure housing, employment, transportation. Life stresses could be the reason she uses. This needs to be her rebuilding her lifetime. Continue to create and protect peace in your home. Best to you. Not the a-hole, but get an attorney. You and your niece need it. If OP has custody and can take extra steps to limit who has access to the child, what is the benefit of an attorney? Retaining fees are quite steep. I'm asking to learn. Having dealt with crazy family members demanding access to my own kids and using other family members to access them and deliver messages to them, the best thing it does is signal to the crazies that you are serious. They think they can keep pushing because you're a family and can't ever tell them no because it's the family code. If you keep saying no, they just tell themselves they're the hero saving the kids from the mean person telling them no. It's amazing how suddenly they stop the BS when an attorney threatens them with legal action. An outside authority told them to cut it out or else. It's very effective and was worth the money to keep the crazies on their best behavior. I second this. And contact schools to reiterate who is and is not on the access list. Crazy family has often weaponized police, child services, filed false abuse reports, all to paint the custodial guardian in an abusive light. Cover your assets/assets. Start recording calls, messages, and texts into online vaults. 3. If you're ultra paranoid. Also printed copies, transcripts of voice messages. Document. If at a moment's notice you need to file a no-contact order/anti-harassment, you will need printed copies to file with a judge later in court. You can also work with Child Protective Services to oversee your sister earning back partial custody. If you choose to communicate with a pushy family, do it through email only. It creates a valid paper trail, and you can carbon copy, CC, anyone who needs in on a conversation. If they really want to get nasty, take your sister to court for child support and back pay support. This always is a viable threat when they get super pushy. Your fears are very valid.